This is Andy's story. Andy is my precious dog that I think was brought to me in 2010. This is his story. In 2009, I had a dream. And in this dream, there is he's a helper angel. And he's kind of a clumsy little dark curly headed angel. You know, he's kind of a lower ranking guy. And in this dream, he's a helper angel, and he's helping this elderly man remember to take his medications, like what stuff it is that he needs to take. And, you know, you need to remember to do this, remember to do that. And then when it comes to me, he says two things to me. He says, the first thing I'm not going to say, but the second thing he says to me is, God's going to give you a son. And I'm thinking, a son? I mean, I'm in my late 40s. I'm not married. You know, I'm thinking, okay. I'm sort of thinking, maybe this isn't a literal son. And I'm thinking the angel's thinking that too, but I really didn't want to ask. And the most I could do was say, well, when would I be going to the doctor? And he said, and like I said, I really think he knew it wasn't a literal son, you know. And he said, April or May. Well, that dream was in autumn of 2009. I was driving a school bus here in Tulsa at that time. And Christmas time, someone put this little dog in my mailbox at work. And I guess someone had given him, one of the kids had given him like a Christmas present or something, and yeah, I don't know. This was on the present, on the wrapping, I don't know what, but here is the little dog. And he knew I liked animals, I guess, and he put it in my mailbox. And I'm not really a small trinket person, but I took it home, and I put this in my kitchen window, you know, over the sill. What do? You know, so I just put this little dog over the windowsill. Well, I had sort of, over that winter 2009, 2010, I had kind of had a desire to have a dog. And I had my two cats, and, you know, they're gone now. One lived to be 18, and the other lived to be 20. And they traveled all the way from Pennsylvania to Maryland, and then when I moved here. So I had gotten that desire, and I've never had a dog, you know. And I remember over the course of that winter going to a couple shelters, you know, pet shelters, and looking at the dogs. And I just really didn't know what kind of dog I would want, or, you know, I just had no idea. And see, you have to understand with me, I don't just get a pet and then, oh, when I get tired of you, I take you back to the shelter, right? When you don't match my furniture anymore, I get rid of you. That's a real story of some lady that redecorated her living room, and her cat didn't fit in the decor, so she got rid of her cat, you know. Oh. Anyway, so I looked around at the dogs in these two shelters, and I'm like, I don't know what kind of dog to get. And it's a heavy responsibility. I mean, it means a lifetime to me. And so I left, and I remember getting, on one of those trips, I remember getting in the car and saying, okay, Lord, I can't decide on this. If you want me to have a dog, you'll just need to choose him, and, you know, you'll just need to send him to me. Well, Easter week 2010, I'm out on my porch, and I'm actually calling this other stray dog that hung around in the neighborhood, this little black kind of weenie dog that always run around. And this shaggy, overgrown, matted little tan pooch runs up the driveway, and all you can see is his black nose. And I didn't have any dog food. He had no collar or anything, he had no identification or anything. I mean, he didn't look real well cared for. And so I fed him cat food. That's all I had. So that week, like, I would put cat food out at the side of the house, and I guess he was eating my cat food. And I remember going into work and asking my friend Dennis, how do you know if you're a dog owner? And he said, well, if you're feeding them and they're staying at your house, you're probably kind of a dog owner. And so anyway, I thought, well, either way, if he comes back, I'm taking him to the groomer, even if he's not my dog, because he was such a mess. Well, then that Thursday he didn't come back, and I thought, okay, but he came back on Friday, this little guy. And so I took him to the groomer. And apparently he was such a mess and not a happy camper while this was going on. He is a little bit of a pistol, he's ornery. And it took 2 of them to work on him on and off through the day. I finally picked him up that evening, and I'm like, what is that? I mean, he didn't look anything like this dog, and he was so exhausted. And I brought him home, and I put him on my patio, and he was just out. And that is my story of Andy. So I had the dream, and then I got this desire for a dog, and then of course I got this in my mailbox and put this in my kitchen. So watch what you put in your kitchen windowsill, or apparently I need to. Put this in the kitchen windowsill, and this little guy showed up Easter week, and he has been with me since, and I know the Lord sent him to me for comfort. And I love him like a son I've never had children. And I've loved him in a way like you who have had children would love your son. I know it's not the same, but I've just loved him very much. And it was kind of interesting because after that I had these 2 like painted iron roosters, and I put them in the kitchen windowsill. And, oh my gosh, I had 2 roosters in my front garden. I'm not kidding. So I need to be careful what I put up there in the kitchen windowsill, And it turns out these neighbors had these 2 roosters. So, Well, so then I went and I still had the little bride and groom off my wedding cake from 1988, and I put that in the windowsill, and it broke, so yeah, it didn't work that time. So, anyway, so that's my story of how Andy has come into my life. And now I'm beginning to kind of look at that dream in a little bit of another spin, but that's not to be talked about right now. But that is how my Andy came into my life. And it was actually his grandma that named him, because we were going through a list of names and absolutely nothing fit. And then she goes, Andy, and I went, that was it. And he's an ornery little guy. He's very sensitive. He's very smart. And he likes to go to bed early, but I don't. So I love him very much. And now I have Trixie too. It's kind of funny because in February I was feeling restless, kind of like, and I felt like enlarge your tent. It's not like I was taken to that scripture, but that's what enlarge your tent, like push out the stakes, like we need more people around here. And I ended up with Trixie. She was found on the road near my place, and they thought it was Andy, and of course, I don't think she looks like Andy. Although Andy's got a big overbite, she's got an underbite. It's kind of funny, I cannot afford braces for them, so don't go there. And they thought it was Andy, so I went over to my neighbors. I'm like, no, that's not Andy, And they needed a place to keep him just while they found the owner, and so I said, I'll keep her over the weekend. That is it. I'm not doing any promotion to find her, nothing like that. I'll keep her over the weekend. Yes, I did do all that. And I still have her. So I don't know what happened in her case, but I've got little Trixie too. So it's almost like that enlarge your tent. It's almost like prophetically then she came along, like there's more people to come along. And there's more to say on that, and there's a dream from January, but that is not to be shared. So we'll see what happens, but right now, as I've said in my videos, I'm in a transition time. I don't know what's going on. I might as well go read a magazine or go out of town while God does this, because there's certainly nothing I can do. So I'm making videos because I need to output with my gifting prophetically, or just in terms of, just speaking my experience, or speaking truth, or speaking wisdom, or whatever it might be. I need to do something, right now. So, and I am going to try to finish my projects around my home. It's just really boring. So I might videotape. Maybe if I videotape, I won't feel so alone doing that. The problem is, I've got two life, I forget how to do stuff if I don't do it. And, I've known how to put up a light fixture, but sort of like, I don't know. I need to do it, but I just get rusty on it, I guess. So I've got things I need to do, but I also need this outlet. And it may just start out rather clumsy and without a lot of direction, and maybe not super anointed, or, whatever, but this may go somewhere. We'll see. And I guess that is all for today, but that is my Andy's story. All right. See you later.